How you guys doing? It's Film Frenzy, and I'm here for probably my last retrospective video of 2019. It's very sad because it was such a remarkable year for movies, but the Oscars were last night, and it's the final award show basically in like the award season, and it's just a cumulative of all this stuff, and it was a really exciting night. So in this video, I'm going to recap like the overall show, of course the who won the awards and stuff, my thoughts on it, and have some reactions too. I only have a couple, and most of them, weren't really big surprises, let's be honest, but I still have some. So I'm going to start with just talking about the show. And so the intro was, it was different. I definitely prefer like a Ricky Gervais style monologue. But like Janelle Monáe and Billy Porter both have phenomenal vocal talent, and they're very likable like on screen, but it just kind of felt cheesy and stuff, and maybe it was a bit old-fashioned. I guess lots of people probably found it very nostalgic and nice to have like this type of intro for the Oscars, and showing like a bunch of different movies that some weren't even represented at the Oscars, like Midsummer. But I kind of thought it was cheesy and like kind of silly when they do songs about the Oscars that aren't like for comedic purposes. It's just kind of awkward. That's just my thoughts. Then also talking about the musical performances besides that one. So I feel like this is like an observation I'm making the last few years. Besides like Shallow and maybe like Let It Go from Frozen, there hasn't really been that big hit classic song that like is being nominated at the Oscars or like, at the award shows that's made for movies. And honestly, there haven't been many like of these big hit songs that have been made for movies. Yeah, there's some like Can't Stop the Feeling and Happy, but those aren't like very good songs, at least in my opinion. And I feel like there aren't like your Lose Yourselves, your Eye of the Tiger songs, and that's just kind of unfortunate because I feel like the era of like these awesome big like pop songs made for movies is kind of past. But maybe Billie Eilish will bring it back with her No Time to Die theme song. And speaking of Billie Eilish, it was great to see her performing with her brother Phineas yesterday. I would prefer Paul McCartney, of course. It's one of my favorite songs of all time. I think she did it justice completely. And then also discussing Lose Yourself, as I mentioned earlier. That was the big surprise of the night. So yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. Like I thought like the Into the Unknown performance and I'm Gonna Love Me Again performances were pretty good for like the Best Original Song nominees, but of course the performance that I thought was the coolest was Eminem, because he didn't originally perform Lose Yourself at the Oscars when he won back in like 2002, and that was exciting to see him perform it live. That's one of my favorite songs of all time also, so to see two of my favorite songs of all time just randomly perform at the Oscars and I didn't realize either of them were going to happen, that was pretty sick. I remember when I first saw Eminem on the screen, I wish I got my reaction. I was just like, wait, is he actually there? Because they were doing this cool montage of all these like movie music songs. And yes, it was completely out of nowhere. And lots of the Oscars this year felt like they would just randomly go to like one segment to the next without fluidity. But it kind of took me by surprise, and I thought it made it more of an exciting show. Another thing that was a surprise that I thought was really cool, last thing about musical performances, was that they actually did a little bit of like snippets of all 5 nominees for Best Original Score. Because usually they just do like the songs. So it was great to get this like mini overture of like the different like scores and stuff. I thought it was really, really cool. And it just added to the night for sure. Overall though, I think without the host is not a good thing, personally speaking. I thought it went better last year without a host, and I was convinced, oh, maybe they can do it. But this year, it was weak. Most of the comedy routines I just didn't think were that funny, or they just played off the same jokes, besides Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph, who were hilarious and phenomenal. That was definitely one of the highlights of the night. But besides that, I didn't think it was the best overall ceremony. There was definitely some highlights, Eminem, Maya Rudolph, and Kristen Wiig, and a couple other things like the score, and like a couple things here and there, but it was really about the awards. And there also, it wasn't the most exciting thing, though there were some surprises. So let's just start right away. And so out of the 24 nominees, I did my predictions video, and so I actually got 16 out of 24 winners correct, which I'm pretty happy with. That's a 67%, 2/3 correct. That's a lot better than my Golden Globes or SAG Awards videos, if you've seen them. I'm not very good at predicting TV, so there's that. But we're going to start right away. So Original Screenplay. This one I got wrong. Of the big awards, this was one of the sort of surprising ones. I thought Quentin Tarantino had this in the bag because he just won the overall Screenplay award at like the Golden Globes. But nope, Bong Joon-ho won it. And I mean, personally, I would have preferred Noah Baumbach, but I'm so happy to see Bong Joon-ho up there. That was like the first award Parasite got of the night. And I was like, okay, maybe they're really into Parasite. This is like before, of course, the big things happen, the elephant in the room, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, Quentin Tarantino didn't win a single Oscar. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood only won 2 awards, actually, for, I believe, production design, which was very deserving, and also for Brad Pitt, which I really wish it was Tom Hanks, but we all knew it was Brad Pitt. And speaking of the acting nominees, all 4 were like confirmed basically the winners. Joaquin Phoenix, who gave like one of his big speeches like always, and it was very interesting to watch. And he's always very moving when it's impressive. Renee Zellweger, I thought, had a pretty good speech too. She won for Best Actress, of course, for Judy, and then Laura Dern won for Best Supporting Actress for Marriage Story. I don't agree with all those winners, but I mean, they were basically confirmed going in, so it made all the acting categories not very interesting. Unfortunate, and that's why I'll also not be showing any reaction videos for those awards, because my reaction is just pretty like. And then moving to adapted screenplay, Jojo Rabbit won. Taika Waititi, I'm so glad to see him win an Oscar now. I thought he was very deserving of that award, and it was really awesome to see him pull it off. And before I go any farther, I think it's be interesting to just break down the rundown of like what movies won how many awards. So as I'll talk about later, of course, Parasite won the most, 4 awards. So this was a very split up Oscars. Because some years you have like the movie that wins 10 awards. Yeah, that wasn't even the case or even close to it this year. Because Parasite won 4. Then you got 1917 won 3. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood won 2. Joker won 2. And I feel like there's a couple others. Oh yeah, Ford vs. Ferrari won 2. And I believe that's it. That everything else was just won 1 award. So yeah, it was definitely very split up, which I guess is nice to, share the wealth of all these like awards and stuff, but no one movie felt like it was so dominant. Of course, Parasite was the most because most of the awards it won were pretty major, but nevertheless, it wasn't like some crazy night where it was like, let's say, I don't know, Titanic or something, or Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, where it was just like sweeping in every category. So visual effects is next. And 1917 pulled that one off. I was very happy to see it win. I thought it was very deserving of that. Same with sound mixing. 1917 won. And Ford vs. Ferrari won sound editing. So this is another year of them splitting up the 2 awards where one movie gets one, another movie gets the other. It's kind of weird how that, I feel like it never is the same movie getting sound editing and sound mixing. Personally, I want 1917 to win both, but Ford vs. Ferrari is still very impressive in the sound editing department. Live action short was The Neighbor's Window. I got this one wrong. I'm not really familiar with it. Animated short, Hair Love, I got this correct. Seemed like there's a lot of buzz about it. It looks very good. I like their speech a lot. It was really nice. Song, I'm Gonna Love Me Again. I thought it was the best of the songs. Into the Unknown's pretty good too, but the others were kind of like, to be honest, forgettable Oscar stuff. So yeah, I was happy to see like Elton John and Bernie Taupin up there. That was really exciting. Score, Joker. I mean, I really wanted Thomas Newman to win for 1917, but Hildur something, her last name, sorry, can't pronounce it. She was still very deserving. It was a phenomenal score. She was the favorite going in. She won the Golden Globes. Makeup and hair, Bombshell, I guess someone correct. I was kind of hoping for Joker just because that iconic look is pulled off so well. That's okay. Foreign film was kind of obvious. That was Parasite. And yeah, so that was its second award, and most people, including me, thought probably that's its last award of the night. It's very lucky that it didn't just win foreign film, but actually won one of the bigger awards, like original screenplay. It's like, that's pretty impressive for a foreign film. But Bong Joon-ho didn't stop there. That was only his second speech of the night. Yeah, you come up a little bit more. Then we got editing, which I thought was a bit of a surprise. Ford vs. Ferrari won. I did not think that was going to happen. I thought Parasite was going to win that one. I thought that was going to be the award that Parasite wins besides foreign language film, but ironically, it did not, even though it won a bunch of other awards, a lot bigger awards. Documentary short, got it right, Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone. It looks a very interesting film. I also got documentary right, American Factory. It's kind of funny that, even though I don't really know much about documentaries at this stage, that I pulled those off. Directing, that was when we got the word that, oh wait, maybe they're really into Parasite. I wasn't sure. I thought Sam Mendes was going to win. I think Sam Mendes is very deserving of it, just like Roger Deakins is for cinematography for 1917, which he of course did win. but it was actually Bong Joon-ho, who any other year I'd been like, oh, completely Bong Joon-ho should win. But 1917 is one of my favorite films of all time, and I think the direction is remarkable. Yeah, I was a bit bummed to see Sam Mendes not up there getting it. And especially considering the fact that Bong Joon-ho, this was his third speech of the night, which was still exciting. I mean, I love the guy. I think his movie is phenomenal. Parasite is also one of the best movies I've ever seen. But it was just interesting to see, like, you know, it felt like the tides were turning. And it's really cool to see, like, I don't know if it's ever happened where a foreign language film has won Best Director. But yeah, it seemed like the Oscars were really into it, and that there's also a correlation often between Best Picture winners being the Best Director winners. It doesn't always happen, as the case was like Damien Chazelle winning Best Director for La La Land, and then Moonlight deservingly won Best Picture in like 2016. So I thought, okay, maybe now it's more of like a 50-50 shot, 1917 versus Parasite for Best Picture. I started to get a little like worried that, oh, is 1917 not going to win? I didn't think any of the other movies were really in the picture, but it started to make me wonder. And so, continuing on, we got animated movie, Toy Story 4. I thought maybe Missing Link was gonna, but I still predicted Toy Story 4, and I was happy to see that one win it. Toy Story is just a phenomenal series, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all four might have won Best, or all three that the Best Animated Feature Film award has existed for have won Best Animated Film, which is really exciting. It is one of the best, not even trilogy anymore, one of the best series of all time. Costume design went to Little Woman. I thought it was going to go to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because they love that stuff, just like production design. But nope, that was a surprise. That was the only award Little Woman won, which I know many people are going to be very upset about. And that leads us to one last award, which of course is Best Picture. And so going in, it seemed like there was a good shot that it was going to be 1917. Out of all the movies, I thought it was going to be the most likely and the most deserving, in my opinion. And it was Parasite, which was a bit of a shocker, so let's see that initial reaction. Wow. That makes me sad. 1917 is not going to be the Best Picture winner. Hopefully it's remembered still. But yeah, it seemed like Parasite, you know, it was getting all the big awards this night. I'm still happy for it. It's an amazing movie. So yeah, I was a little bit upset, but I do love surprises. And the funny thing is, though, that it's almost not a surprise anymore. I believe this is the fourth year in a row now that the frontrunner for Best Picture did not win Best Picture, which is kind of hilarious. It started with that big, like, oh, we think it's La La Land, but then we read the note, and it's actually Moonlight winning Best Picture in 2016. Then in 2017, it was actually Shape of Water instead of Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. And then 2018, it was Green Book instead of whatever the favorite was that year, I kind of forget. And that brings us to 2019, where it was Parasite instead of 1917. It's kind of funny how this is happening. In all the other years, I was actually happy about the one that won because I preferred it over the frontrunner. But in this case, even though they're like my top two films of the year, they're neck and neck. I mean, I'm so glad I've seen them both win. In a perfect world, they would come out in different years and they'd both be Best Picture recipients because they totally deserve it. But Parasite ended up winning, which is a huge deal, of course, because of the fact that it's the first ever foreign language film to clinch that award. After 92 years, it's happened, and that's pretty remarkable. And of all the films to do it, this one, it's a pretty cool honor and very deserving for Parasite. My only fear is that 1917 won't go down as a classic, because I think either way Parasite was going to be going down as like a really well-remembered film, no matter what. And the thing is, like, when you win Best Picture, your movie's in the history books. Like, yeah, being nominated is too, but it's not the same thing. There's only 92 Best Picture winners. And for 1917 not to win, I'm just hoping it gets remembered because it is a pretty remarkable movie. I know I'm saying that a lot, but the feats it pulls off technically, and of course the story as well, just every part of the film is firing on all calibers. It made me a little sad that it didn't win because it's such a favorite movie of mine. So yeah, to wrap things up, I thought it was a pretty decent night. The ceremony definitely wasn't the best that it's been. I wish it was a lot funnier. And the musical performances were kind of a mixed bag, but at least Eminem was there for a surprise guest appearance, and Billie Eilish and Phineas really knocked yesterday out of the park. Other than that, awards-wise, not a lot of huge surprises, besides, of course, Parasite having that crazy winning streak, which was very cool to see. Just from like a pure entertainment standpoint, I love when there's big surprises like this. Of course, out of like 1917 to win more major awards, but I love Parasite so much, so I'm happy to see Bong Joon-ho and his team win those as well, and hopefully that expands the market and like the award season in the future, and just really opens up people to international films, because I think that's something that's really important moving forward, and it was really great to see. So overall, I think it was a very important night, the Oscars, in terms of like just, you know, internationalism and like globalism and stuff. It was very cool. The speeches were kind of mediocre overall, but it was a fun night, and I think it was a fitting end to one of the best years in cinema of, dare I say, all time. So, thank you for watching my recap and reaction, and just my overall thoughts on the 92nd Academy Awards, the 2020 Oscars. I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to stay tuned to so much more content coming soon, as to talk about more 2020 movies, and maybe even do a retrospective list of my top 10 favorite movies of the entire 2010s decade. See you guys later from Film Frenzy. Goodbye.